And welcome everyone to another edition of Orlando Magic Pod Squad. Dante Marcatelli, George Galante, Jake Chapman here with us, and we have the pleasure of welcoming in Joe Ingles, his first foray into Magic Pod Squad. And Joe, you'll be happy to know I got all black on. I know you prefer either black or white. I didn't have that right. Look at you.
You know, the craziest part is I legitimately, like, right before I texted George saying I'm good to go, I put this on because every other time I do a podcast or a photo or something, I'm in a black t-shirt and I've literally got black sweats on right now. So I was like, let me bring a little something different.
It's
perfect. I don't think
like
you own. He doesn't own any. I don't think you own anything else. Do you?
No.
Well, whatever the Magic gave me. If that's I don't know. I haven't opened half the bags yet, but whatever's in there.
Whatever's in there. I remember sitting on a bus, guys, and I had a nice, colorful shirt on, and Joe walks by before the game, and he goes, "If you're feeling confident today, are you?"
I'm not a colorful guy. I'm a very I just be in the background in my black outfit and keep
Joe, what is it like to be? I mean, you've said it very, very, very poignantly. I mean, you were surrounded by guys that are 10, 11, 12 years younger than you are. How's that adjustment been for you coming to Orlando?
I'm glad you only went with the 10, 11, 12. I think like Jet and AB are, what are they, 19? Just turned 20.
I was being nice.
Yeah,
I was being nice.
Yeah, I've got some 15, 16, 17-year age different. Well,
yeah. He was talking about Gary.
Yeah, the second oldest. I mean, I think you kind of dive into it and enjoy it as much as you can, right? Like it's the situation. I mean, I chose to some level to be here and be with this group, and I think last year the funny part is last year I think our Milwaukee team was the oldest team in the league, and now I'm on like probably one of the bottom 2, 3, 4 teams of age. So very different conversations in the locker room compared to what we had last year. But also for me, I think it's actually, I mean, they say like kind of, I don't know what the exact saying is, but like when you're hanging around with that like a younger group, it kind of energizes you, and it definitely has. Like I've really, really enjoyed this year with the guys, and there is a lot of times I have no idea what they're talking about with some things, but it's such I mean, you guys know, it's such a fun group to be around, and that's not fake. Like that's the best part about it. It's not fake. It's not made up. It's not like put on for the TV. Like we have a really good group of guys that get along and have a good time together. Like our plane rides, bus rides, all that is really fun in the locker room. So for me, it's like drop my kids at school and get to the facility and then babysit at the facility and then go back and pick my kids up from school. So it is, yeah, it's been obviously up to this point too, a really fun year, and obviously with a bit of success too.
Joe, when you came in, you were what, 25, 26 as a rookie with Utah?
27 when I first got over, yeah.
27, so even better. You never had an
good
NBA
research.
Vet,
he's our crack research staff.
Yeah.
Well,
nice
come on,
job.
I was
barriers.
I was close. You never had an NBA vet. I mean, those were young rosters. Like you were a rookie veteran, right? Like when you go, do you have to go back to EuroLeague to think about the veteran experience and who kind of drew the prototype for you to be able to be that veteran?
Well, I remember my first year in Australia playing professionally. I was 17 when I signed, and Shane Hill, who had played in the NBA and played for Australia, was the veteran, I guess, on that team. And I remember like a few things happening with like bags, and I remember him like demanding me to go get him some like French fries at the airport one time or something, like just little things. And at the time I was not too different to how I was now. So he got a very colorful answer when he told me to go and do that. But yeah, and then I came to the league. I think when I was first in Utah, kind of like Steve Novak, Gordon Hayward and Derek Fay, like those guys were young, but they'd played a few years in the league. And then probably like the first like couple of real vets I had were obviously Steve, definitely, but then Joe Johnson and Boris Diaw when we got into Utah. So yeah, just definitely like, I guess I was lucky to a certain extent because the year I signed, Dante Exum got drafted. He was 19. Rodney Hood, I think, was the other pick who was like 2021. So I luckily got left out a lot of the rookie stuff. Little did they know I probably would have told them where to go, even if they asked me to do something.
Yes, yes.
But it's different. And I mean, I think coming in at 27 and I'd already played nearly 10 years professionally by then, it's just a different understanding. And I mean, even the guys that I played with that first year, I'm sure they didn't know that I'd already played 10 years. They probably thought I just was really bad for so long and decided to have a crack at the NBA. So it was fun. But yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't take back the journey that I'd had to get to that point at 27.
That's interesting, Joe. One thing that Magic fans mention a lot is, what is Joe saying? He's always talking. He's talking to and a lot of guys you've played with, right? You'll see George Niang, and Lord only knows what you're telling him. But but guys that you've played with, you're talking to, there's constant chatter there. I see it in the locker room. It's great. An NBA locker room is an animal unto itself, and you navigate that. You navigate that perfectly.
Especially with some teenagers.
Exactly. So what would your answer be to Magic fans? What do you say? You don't have to get into the specifics, but what is the gist of what you're doing?
Well, I mean, I've always been a talker. Like I think one of the things I've always liked about myself to some extent is like I could always hold a conversation with people, and I enjoy like talking to people and getting to know people and them asking questions. And especially as you get older and like they start asking about your family, your kids, like for me, it's a fun thing to talk about my career. How I'd got to here at this point, and like I always get like, oh, you're 27, like how are you still in the NBA? This is my 10th year now in the NBA. Like it's just been a hell of a journey. And over those 10 years, just getting to know people, obviously playing with a lot of teammates.
Sure.
You just get to know people. You like the referees and the training staff of other teams, and like you just, as you're around more and more, and I've just got to probably on a pretty surface level, I've got to know a lot of people, and I have people come up like say like they're always joking like Dale Osborne, who's my coach to work out with pregame and stuff, always gets mad at me because every pregame I miss like half my shooting time because I'm talking to the other team or a coach or and I've just built like I guess I've been pretty lucky, but I've built some really good relationships, and a lot of it, even in game, is more fun than serious. I think I've got to learn, especially as I'm now 36. Like I'm very well aware my days are numbered in the NBA. I'm not 21 and just starting my career, and I'm lucky to be around a young group of guys that have kind of like re-energized me a little bit, and I'm gonna have fun. Like I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna talk to these guys. I'm gonna have fun with the referees. I'm gonna have fun with some fans in the crowd. But I think one of the other parts that I've always known is that I can always still be locked into the game. I know what Mose wants us to do. I know what offense we're running. I'm never going to take away from the serious side of my job. But I also think I play the best when I am having fun and enjoying it. I think when I get frustrated and overthink it is when it's probably time for Mose to sub me out for the night.
Joe, at what point did you start to tinker with your game a little bit, just as you got older and as you got more years in the league? You know, when do those things start to come into your mind and go, okay, well, I can't do A as good as I used to anymore, but you know what? I'm pretty good still at B, C, and D. When does that start to go into your head?
Well, some of the stuff that other guys are naturally born with, I never had. So some of them was I never had A, B, and C. I probably came back a little more athletic after my ACL than less. So,
do you think so?
Well, I just think and prior to my ACL, obviously that's probably a little stretch, but like as you get older, you start to learn what you need to do more, and the weight room. I don't need to be in there like lifting the heaviest weight. I just need to maintain what I'm doing and staying like almost like fresh more than trying to overdo it. So you learn over time. And obviously with the NBA, there's so many resources with coaches and training staff and weight room and nutrition, like all these different things that you can use. So I still remember one of the first conversations I had with Quinn when I got to Utah at 27 was like, granted, I was older at the time to first make it to the NBA, but his whole point was like, what's stopping you from getting better and better at this age? Like just because you're 27 doesn't mean you can't keep improving like a 21-year-old or a 19-year-old. And
right.
so every summer we would play our season, and obviously I spent 8 years there. So for 8 years I would play the season. Me and Quinn would sit down and be like, hey, and obviously there's a couple that I remember, like I never had a floater. So like early on, it was like get a floater to finish in the lane. And then as we started making the playoffs, it was like heavy sending me right. And I was never great going right because I was always able to get back to my left. And now it's a funny thing. I actually prefer shooting off the dribble to my right now because I've done it so many off seasons to get better at it. So I think as you get older or your career changes, like one, you've got to be okay with accepting it. Like, hey, I'm not going to be a starter now. Now I'm not going to be playing 25 minutes and I'm going to come in for France for 10 to 20 minutes, depending on the night. And how can I be effective? And I think for me, like my IQ has always been one of the best parts of like, I can read the game. I can try and think ahead of these guys. And that's helped me throughout my career. And then you just adjust as you see fit. I think one of the biggest things now is like you need to be able to shoot in the NBA. So like guys coming in, or to me, one of the good examples was like Vince Carter was not like a spot up shooter, but by the end of his career, he was an unreal spot up shooter. And he could have been upset with that or not wanted to do that role, but he bought into it. And I think the more players can just accept as your career goes, like we all do, we all get old, we all gonna like,
sure,
we all have to retire at some point. The more you can accept that and embrace it. And that's really what I've loved about this year with this team, is just embracing that kind of a new role that I haven't particularly had before.
So when you were in Utah, you played 418 consecutive games, and that is research. That is the proper number.
Nice job, Jake.
Good for
There
you.
you
Good.
go.
Yeah,
There
you
you
made
go.
up for yourself. Good
There you
job.
go.
Yes.
And
You
the
might
number's
bounce
probably
that face.
447, but that's all right.
That's why he was so
If you say it with conviction, everybody will believe you. 418,
Yeah, that's right.
boom.
Just staring a hole through me for 10 minutes. That's good.
It's specific enough. You've got two young guys right now that the team is focused on and built around in Franz and Paulo, and they seem to have the same mentality. Yes, they're 22 and 21 years old, and being available is easier when you're that age. Obviously, we all can speak to that. But what does it mean to a team to know that your two focal points are going to be there night in and night out? I can imagine in this day and age, it's difficult to build when you don't necessarily know that.
100%. I was just having coffee with some of the guys in our travel party this morning, and we were literally saying this morning, it's funny that like when I first got in the league, obviously only 10 years ago, but I felt like it was almost like necessary and like a challenge to play 82 games. Like everyone was trying to play 82 games. It was almost like a bit of body armor if you could do it. And I was lucky to do it a few times, but and I'm like on the flip side of that, like I get the injuries and I get maintenance, and like especially as you get older, I fully understand. I did my ACL 2 years ago now. Like maybe if I hadn't played 400 games consecutive and recovered a bit better, like maybe that makes a difference. Who knows? But I think and one of the points that it was like availability is one of the biggest parts in the NBA, I think, and especially when you are not Paulo and Franz and you're trying to get an opportunity on the court, if you are constantly injured or like not locked into play, like once you get that opportunity, you've got to take advantage of it. And if you can be available, and obviously being available, there's a lot more that goes into that with the preparation of like 19, like your nutrition, your sleep, your recovery, your lifting of weights and all that side of things. And I mean, I remember I literally said this morning, like there's probably a few games in that period I probably should have sat out or probably wasn't the smartest idea for me to play, but it wasn't even a thought back then. Back then it was like you make sure you're ready to play and you find a way to be out there, whether you're at 70% or 95% or whatever it is, like just being out there. And I always took pride in like trying to do as much as I could to make sure I could be available for my team whenever I could.
Was basketball always the goal, Joe? I know you played rugby or Australian rules football. Right? It's different. It's different. You play right, and you play cricket. You play. Did you think you were going to go that route, or what? Tell us about your sports background.
Yeah, I think as every kid, you just kind of play whatever. Like as you grow up, you do as much as you can, and on the weekends we would ride our bikes with our friends, or like it was just do as much as you can. fill up as much time as the day. And then obviously as you get older and the level goes up, it's like the trainings start clashing with each other and the games are at the same time on a Saturday or whatever. And I definitely don't think I was as good at basketball as I was at the others at that younger age. But my more like friendship group was playing basketball. I did like more the fact that it was indoors and in like the AFL. And AFL was kind of in the winter, so you'd play in like 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning and it's raining and you're covered in mud and it's kind of miserable. And then the cricket's in the summer, so you're standing out in the sun in 40 degrees Celsius for 2, 3, 4 hours to like catch the ball 3 times. It's like,
oh yeah,
it kind of got to the point where it's like I wanted to be with my friends, and in the cricket field by myself, I couldn't talk to anyone, so it was kind of boring just standing there like trying to entertain myself the whole time.
That might be the worst sport on the world for you. That might be.
Yeah, I was like, I would have to talk to the parents in the crowd because it was just like so I ended up kind of picking basketball because I did enjoy it. Obviously, I loved playing, but I had a bunch of good friends that I was playing with, and I kind of wanted to be indoors, so it just kind of happened that way. And as obviously as you get older, I grew a bit more, and you get a bit more talented, and like things just kind of pan out. But I definitely, and I hope the kids don't take the same advice, but I definitely had no backup plan. There was no other plan to do anything else. And I funny now having 3 kids of my own, and you're like, yeah, school's important. And I'm sitting there like, I thought it was the worst time of my life going to school.
Right.
And obviously like being from Australia and however many Australians have played, like I was lucky that it panned out the way it did, to be honest. And I'm glad it did. But yeah, I definitely had no backup plan if this didn't work out.
Joe, so how young are you playing AFL? Because as a kid in America, we would see that on ESPN or ESPN2. I was always, I mean, as a teenager, I was fascinated with it. And I was fascinated with the guys in the white hats and the white suits, and they'd come out and they'd give you one of these. Like I was really into it. And I thought, well, how the hell do these guys start playing this? Because it's so weird.
Right.
Like, so what age did you start playing? Or is it younger than when you started playing?
Yeah, no. So I started basketball when I was about 5. And then I think the AFL and the cricket was a bit later than that, but similar to the NBA, like the draft for the AFL, they get drafted most of like 17, 18, that kind of same age. So they finish high school and these guys would get drafted. And so I was probably that same, like 12, 13. But it's like, I mean, looking back now, and it's actually kind of scary with like the concussion stuff that's starting to come out and all
right.
The NFL, I guess, to a certain extent. But it's like, that same thing of like, do I want my kids doing that? And like, it's a scary thing. But obviously as a kid at 12, you don't think about that. You just want to have fun with your friends and you're playing sport and you're outside. And but it is a similar route. Like you start young, the draft is like 17, 18. And I've been like I've had a few really good friends. One of my best friends played 15 years in the AFL and won 4 championships, and now he's working in it. So there is some really cool stories. But yeah, just wasn't for me.
I just can't get over the fact that you gave up cricket because there was nobody to talk shit to.
That
so
tracks,
great.
though. That tracks.
That tracks.
Like, and even if you think about like not just the fielding side where you're standing in like a huge area by yourself, but also the batting. It's like 2 people out there, and no one's talking, so you can't like talk to the bowler who's bowling at you. Like I don't know. It was long days too. Like it was in the sun, and it just wasn't for me.
Along those same lines, tell me your favorite thing about playing with Mo Wagner.
So I used to hate Mo, and I'm still probably like 50-50 on whether I like him some days. And obviously being in Milwaukee last year with him and Giannis is a little bit of history too. Like, yeah, they weren't big fans of him, so I automatically had to hate him a bit more last year. The flip side of that is like you get to know someone, which is funny because like, and it's fine. I've had it said to me a bunch of times too, like you play against me and no one really likes me, and then being teammates is completely different. And Mo's, I don't know, he's just like an out there type of dude. Like he has his emotions on his sleeve. Like he plays the right way. He plays hard. he works his ass off. Like some of the things that you just don't see when you play them once a year or twice a year. And for me, one of my things I try to pride myself on every team I've been on is that good connection with the big. I think for me, it obviously helps me a lot because I'm good in that pick and roll, but also not for me. Like back in Rudy's, it was like, how can I help Rudy? How can I help Derek Favors? How can I help, even though they're established, like Giannis and Brook Lopez in these pick and rolls, and now with Mo, who has kind of been not in now the league, but a few different teams and moved around. Right. He's kind of found a bit of a home here. Like, how can I help him establish himself in the NBA? And he's a great screener. He's a great roller. He's got great hands. So for me, it's like I'm very comfortable with where I am at in my career. I don't need the numbers. I don't need to shoot 10 shots a game. I'm out there to help this team, especially this group. And it's what I committed to when I spoke to Mose, was like helping this group grow and helping these players grow. And some days it's frustrating. Like some days I want to do more. I want to play more. I'm still competitive, but obviously with the connection, especially with our second year, like how can I help Mo? How can I help JI? How can I get Cole going? How can me and Markel like initiate the offense when Gary was in there? Like how can I get Gary shots? And that's just how I've thought of this whole year. And like I said, it's obviously a connection with Mo that we probably play the most pick and rolls, but I definitely go out there with a mindset of like definitely not thinking about me, but like how I can help my teammates. And obviously overriding that is like, how can we win the game?
Well, that's how guys get longevity. That's how they play for a long time. Joe, when you're going into, when the decision is being made to come to Orlando and you're looking at the roster, obviously you got the rookie of the year and I don't know what all the factors were. I know you like the city as well and all of that, but what did you think the potential was? At the time of this taping, you're 2 games out of second. It's unbelievable what you've accomplished this year with still 6 games to go. And I know you take it 1 game at a time and everything, but what did you think this team could realistically accomplish this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a tough decision because you go into the summer and you have teams like pitch to you, and they like you obviously have some thoughts on where you want to go and what you want to do. And like I've said numerous times, like my family's kind of number one in that for me anyway. Like that's always going to be the first decision, and everything else kind of revolves around that. And, once we thought Orlando was a good city for that, in terms of like Jacob with the kids and Renee, yeah, you just kind of like. I mean, it is a gamble. It's always a gamble. Like you go to Milwaukee, sure. I didn't know how good we were going. We end up finishing first. We lose in the first round. Like you can't predict a lot of it. But after speaking to Moses, especially, like just his, like the passion and the I guess his like foresight of like what he saw and what the group could do. And obviously I'd seen it from far away, from like whatever 16 wins to 20 or whatever to 34, like you could see the process of what they were trying to do. And when you get down to it, it was like, well, yeah, like obviously they've got basically the same team with me and a couple draft picks, and they'd proved, especially over the second half of last year, how good they could be when they were playing the style of basketball they wanted to play, and they were healthy and all those things. And then obviously from my side, it's like, well, how can I come in and make an impact and help? Because that's where I'm at in my career. Like I obviously want to win and be a part of a winning group, but I still want to make an impact some way. And again, like I said, speaking to Mo, speaking to my agent, you just look at all the options. And like I said, it's always a risk. It's always a gamble. But I was very confident in the family side of it and the lifestyle. I was very confident after speaking to Mose and like what his kind of vision was. And then you go out there and you kind of go like eggs all in the basket and just see how far we can push it. And I mean, we've been lucky to be pretty healthy this year. We've had guys step up. Like we've got such a deep team that when someone is out, we've been able to just kind of like next man up mentality. And like you said before, like having your 2 best players or whatever be pretty much healthy throughout the year, like is a huge part of it too. And then they want to be out there. They want to get better. They want to win. Like the strides they've taken defensively, the strides they've taken offensively, like it's all the things you hear in the off season when they're trying to pitch to you, like Orlando is the best city and we've got the best culture and we've got the best facility, and you're like, yeah, but like we'll see when we put it all together. And
right,
I've got to say, like a lot of it majority of it's been true, and the culture and the guys and Mo's and the people around the organization and all that, like, yeah, we've really enjoyed it as a family. My kids are extremely happy. Renee always tells a silly story that we'd been in America 9 and a bit years or whatever, and then we moved to Orlando, and after about a month of living there, we applied for our green cards. So things worked out to some level. So yeah, we've really enjoyed it, and like I said, the big part for me is Jacob and the schooling and my kids, and Jacob's doing unreal, and my daughter loves her school, and my youngest one absolutely loves his little school as well. So that part to me makes the basketball even more satisfying, because I get to go home to a happy family.
I mean, it sounds like you're staying, Joe, forever. That's
Correct.
what it sounds like to me.
I am. Yeah.
Perfect. That's so
I told him, even if Mose doesn't want me anymore, I'm going to go play for Osceola.
Perfect.
You're still going to be a part of this thing. I love
it.
At the Interlochen Golf Club, and I'll play for Osceola. Only home games though. And
fair enough. No, what about
we've really enjoyed it.
Renee is a pretty accomplished athlete as well, professional netballer, Joe's wife. That's pretty impressive.
What's
as well,
netball, Dante? What's netball?
Well, it's that basket that doesn't have the backboard on it. And you can't dribble. It's just passing and shooting. But she was an accomplished netballer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, she played 17, 18 years professionally. She played for Australia, won way more gold medals than I have. She was player of the year a few years. She was, she's in that sense of what she'd done in career-wise, sporting career. She kind of did it all. She was pretty big time. So I'm glad she gave me a little bit of time back in the day.
Yeah, seriously.
I was not on track to go make a lot of money playing basketball in the NBA, so I'm glad she thought I was all right. And then obviously we had the kids. We had the twins first, and she actually ended up getting pregnant, having the twins, and then went and played again after 8 months of having the birth of the twins, which is pretty miraculous. Not that I've had kids before, and I'm not ever going to
That's incredible.
Fully what that takes, but 8 months seems pretty crazy to me. And
me too.
And yes. Now I guess the fun part now for our family is, which was a part of getting the green cards, was like Renee being able to, she's got so much education that she's done over the part of kind of being a mother and playing professionally, of now getting her into some work. She really wants to get back out there and get in that kind of sporting world front office, which is what her education is. And now that our kids are at an age where they're at school, and I'm obviously at the other end of my career, she's really getting into that. So Orlando's been awesome for that too. And some people that have opened some doors for her to get in and just have some conversations. So yeah, obviously proud of her career, but probably more proud of the mother and what she allows me to do. Like I'm sitting in Charlotte right now. She's got a sick 3-year-old at home. She's trying to get on calls. She's trying to do some work, and she's at school pickup right now. Like that's the other side of it, which I think a lot of people forget about, that we all at different levels are very lucky to have the support systems we have.
Yeah, I've gotten a call at 3 a.m., George, that the smoke detector won't stop. The battery's dying in the smoke detector, right? Did you get that one?
Yep. Oh, I get them all. Yeah, I get all of them.
Yeah, exactly. Your daughter won't put on shorts today. Okay, well, I'll do my best.
It's your daughter at that point, isn't it? Joe, you mentioned Jacob, and we had the Culture City training as a Magic staff, and obviously the work you guys do is incredible. Autism Awareness. It's Autism Awareness Month, and the NBA has really embraced that cause. What does it mean to you to see how awareness has grown over the past couple of years and within the league and kind of the direction that it's moving?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's unreal that I think the NBA does a great job, and even the teams individually do a great job at trying to support, obviously, like a lot of issues that are going on or certain things, but also what you like individual players. Obviously, players have their own events and they have things that they are close to or is passionate to them. And I mean, I remember playing in the autism games in Utah before we even knew about Jacob, and you kind of playing it, but like I knew what was going on, but I didn't like dive too deeply into it. But then to have, I think one of the and that's why Utah will always be pretty special to me was when Jacob did get diagnosed, and like early on, only Quinn and Dennis Lindsay, who was president at the time, knew what was going on because I was missing things here and there, or I'm not missing it, but like especially my mind was missing a lot of things, and definitely wasn't playing well. And just to have that support of this like $1 billion organization that realistically, like the end of the day, we can say all these things, but everyone wants to win. Like that's the end goal. That's why they're putting money into it. That's why they're doing what they're doing. For them to like almost like take a step back from that and be like, hey, Joe has to deal with this, and I'm going to deal with it. Like that's the other part of it. Like you're not going to stop me. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to be there for my family. So them diving into it, and then what we were able to do in Utah with the games, and probably promote them even more to a higher level, and then doing it with Milwaukee last year, and then obviously having it the Culture City training with you guys and the staff, and we actually got to bring Jacob up to the whole staff meeting, which was awesome, just to give a bit of an insight. And I think for us and what we've tried to do with the platforms we've been given is just show that like normal people too. We have the same daily struggles or weekly struggle. Like I get financially and different things that we can tick a lot of boxes, and that helps a lot with Jacob. I'm not denying that. It's not something I'd ever skip over, but we still have the same. Like if Jacob wants to have a meltdown and lose his mind and doesn't want to go somewhere, like being an NBA player doesn't stop that. Like it's still a. I remember we had my wife had Jacob in Australia one time a couple of years ago, and trying to get passport photos for our visas. And he's like laying on the floor, kicking, screaming, punching, doesn't want to do anything. And a man walks past my wife, who's got 3 kids, and trying to deal with Jacob. It's like, you need to control your child in here, or something along those lines. It's like they're the moments for us as a family that this is why we do what we do. Like the kid in the supermarket, or the kid at Disney, or the kid at the Magic game. Like you just don't know what's going on with families, adults, or the kids. So we've tried to put that awareness out there as much as we can. It's why we do what we do. We don't need the pat on the back. We don't need the fundraising. We're very lucky in certain senses, but we know we can help and impact other people that aren't as lucky as us. So we try to do as much as we can. It's obviously hard with 3 kids and a soon-to-be working wife, and my schedule, and trying to go home in the summers, and me playing with the national team. There's a lot that we try to juggle, but the other side of it is every team I've been on has been unbelievable at supporting the things that we've tried to push. So very thankful for all the teams I've been a part of, and the people that make it important instead of kind of pushing it to the side.
Well, that's great. You guys have done incredible work. You continue to do incredible work. For Magic fans that come to Kia Center, there's a sensory room, so you can go to that. I know that's huge. One of the few arenas that has that. I know that makes a difference as well. And Joe, we're going to be mindful of your time here. We're going to let you go, but I can't let you get out of here without asking you, because I think it's the same as me and Jake. Your favorite college basketball player right now? There's 4 teams left, right? Hands down, who is it?
Have you heard the stories?
Yeah, no, tell me. Keep going.
Oh, I am there's no doubt, I'm the biggest DJ Burns Jr. fan in America.
Yeah, how great is that? How good?
Yeah, I'm not a huge college ball. I remember like in Utah we'd draft kids, and I'd be like, where did they get drafted? Like it's never been a huge thing that I've followed. Obviously being in America, you see more, it's just around more. But I was at home the other day during that game, and I just was flicking through the TV, and I saw it, and as I turned it on, which might have just been a really good coincidence, he like caught it in the block and like went to work, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like he's a big dude. He's 6'10", whatever he is. He's a big dude. And I was like, there's no way this is kind of how they're playing. And no disrespect to him at all. I'd barely heard of NC State before, to be honest. And next play down, they went and did the same thing, and it was like throw it in the post, and the other 4 were on the other side of the floor. He got another bucket, and then I'm like, this dude's legit. And then the best part about it, which obviously is like my personality, is like he was like dancing. It's a close game, and he's dancing, he's laughing. Like pointing at, it looked like he was like pointing at the Duke bench at times. Like there's a part of that I love. Like, yeah, he takes it serious. He obviously loves what he does, but like he's enjoying it. Like he's what are they, 11th, 12th ranked or something? Like, they were not supposed to be there, and they're still there. And I actually asked Ernest Eugene, who's our head athletic trainer, if he knew the athletic trainer at NC State to get me a jersey. So I
love it. Yes.
I need a DJ Burns Jr. Like game worn.
Yes, that is.
We gotta get that done.
I think he's awesome. And not just the bar. Like, I loved, like, he was smiling out there. He was having fun. Yes. He was flexing. And that to me is like the best part of what we do. Like, we obviously have a job to do and we take it serious. And at college too, like, their coaches are like, if they lose, the coach is getting fired. They can transfer. There's all these great. But to see how much fun he was having, and I'm telling you now, I don't know when they play next or what date it is, but I will be watching.
Saturday, and you're off. They play on Saturday and you're off.
Oh, there we go. So my whole family will be watching DJ Burns, and hopefully they make the final. If they make, I don't know if we're playing the next one. I need to go to the game. If they make the final, maybe I'll go to the game on Saturday. Maybe I should fly in.
Wouldn't that be something? Phoenix. You'd have to get to Phoenix. It's all the way in
Is that
Phoenix.
where it is, Phoenix?
But you could do that.
Yep. And then back to Orlando for Sunday. That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, we'll see if Mo's will like that. But no, I love that, like, just the energy. And
yes,
I hope that the world and like, that's what you want. Like, I said to a few guys, like, wouldn't you love that in your locker room? Like, that's
absolutely
the personality and the vibe of what he would bring, and whether he played or didn't play, or he's a young guy working, like, to have that every day, like, that's what a 36-year-old needs. So
it keeps you young.
I'm back with Magic. I am all for DJ Burns Jr. being on.
I love it. Well, we'll watch. We hope he goes to the championship game on Monday. But you never know what the future holds. We're just glad to hear that you're going to be in Orlando another 10 years playing for the Magic. So that's exciting, Joe.
Or Osceola.
Or Osceola. That's right.
Home games.
One of the two. And
home games only.
After that, the Solar Bears. You're not going anywhere. We're going to keep you around for a while. Joe, this was great. We really appreciate the time. I know it's busy. You got a game tomorrow. Good luck the rest of the way. This has been a blast, and let's keep this thing going.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks so much. That'll do it for this edition of Magic Pod Squad.